So I'm interested in finding out, as I'm quite sure those who are listening are as well. When we start talking about as a society what it looks like to be marginalized, right, based on a set of differences, whatever they may be, ethnically, religiously, and all these other things, gender orientation, sexual orientation. Typically, you don't hear disability come up. That's not really one of those things that people traditionally talk about. So, what does it look like for someone who has a disability, especially when they're transitioning to the age of 21, when they're basically kicked off the roll, so to speak? And now they're out there without those supports and that kind of thing. What does that marginalization look like for that young person who does not have access to those things that they need, and their caregivers who can't access these things that they traditionally or historically have utilized to help them support their adult child?
Well, I guess I can speak on behalf of a mom and not necessarily of an adult with a disability, since I probably have a lot of undiagnosed disabilities at this point. Um, but I don't want to use words for them for others. But I would imagine it feels sad to not be seen or heard. And I guess that would be for any population that is marginalized or vulnerable. I think the disability population, when I look at historically, they never really had a voice. They never had a say. They never had a choice. They never had self determination. And I think the movement now is that you are going to hear disability, the word more often. You're going to hear the word inclusion, and that's going to mean inclusion of people with neurodiversities. The numbers are pretty staggering. So we're all touched by somebody with a disability now. Not that that's a great thing necessarily, but it is helping the movement. And I believe that people with disabilities are able to determine their fate and their future now. And they are, and that's why the term is used self-advocate now instead of adult with disability, because they are learning advocacy skills, and they are learning that they matter and that their voices count. And you'll see some of these politicians now have disabilities platforms, and we are pushing that. There are a lot of people in this space now that are pretty fierce. They want to be heard. Their adult kids have a voice, and they're important. And part of the Main Street vision is that not only do they have a voice, but that they are truly included, that they are respected and valued, and we understand the gifts that they bring instead of just focusing on disabilities. And the Main Street vision, the Main Street, part of our mission is that we educate folks so that they understand that you want someone in your workplace that's different. You want a friend that thinks differently. It is interesting. It increases the knowledge. It increases broadens your lens of how you see things. And you know what? The stats out there show that if you work in a workplace with someone with a disability, not only is that economically positively impactful, but it's also a happier place to work. There is more productivity. So for us, everyone should have a voice. And again, it's a movement of respect and dignity and kindness. And we want to bring everybody into that rainbow. And people with disabilities should be involved. And they should not only be included, but they should be part of the narrative.
Earlier, you made the statement that roughly one third of local people and their caregivers identify the fact that there's not a connection to their community, right, whatsoever, which we know the harms of disconnection socially, emotionally, and all these other things. So if I'm a caregiver of an adult with disabilities, or if I myself am an adult with disabilities who's coming to Main Street and saying, this is a place where I want to live, what would a typical day look like for me in that community?
I love that question. So we will be offering programs all throughout the day, more heavily in the evenings and on the weekends, but activities and opportunities for wellness. So, for example, you may come downstairs and go to Soulful Cafe grab a cup of coffee and say hi to some people that you know. Maybe you go upstairs, you come down again, another pass through of community. Maybe it's just the security people or people working in downstairs, the Main Street staff, the phenomenal Main Street staff. And then maybe you head out to work. While you're at work, we might have some opportunities during the day, lunch and learns, opportunities for coffee, maybe some wellness classes during the day for people who aren't working during the day. Those classes may include technology classes, cooking classes, nutrition classes, classes that are in the gym. So it could be yoga boot camp or a class from Dante's boxing gym, right? And we may offer a walk around the city of Rockville or lunch in one of the Rockville restaurants. In the evening or late afternoon and early evening, we're planning on having everything from bingo parties to Taco Tuesdays to, for me, a Margarita Monday. We will have pizza parties, Super Bowl parties, opportunities for community service, right, to broaden our community and bring others in who might need something from us. All kinds of social engagements, and obviously classes and other kinds of activities happening at night and on the weekends. We're talking about longer term, maybe some trips. Obviously cultural and sporting events in DC that we can pop on the metro because we're 500 feet from the Red Line. So that we'll definitely take advantage of that. But I see a day where anyone can come and be a part of this robust programming. And for people who, again, are not connected to community, there can always be a drop-in. You need a place to be. You're tired of playing video games in your basement or not being connected to someone, come on into Soulful Cafe and have a cup of coffee. And I can promise you it will be a friendly environment where everyone is welcome.
So 25% of your apartments are dedicated to adults with disability or their caretakers and so I'm guessing that 75% would be reserved for people who don't identify as being disabled. I hear you talking about programming for people with disabilities and that kind of thing. Is the funding for the programming for people who identify as having a disability, is it coming from the other 75% of those who are renting at Main Street? How does that work?
So that is you are filled with great questions. So I'm gonna talk about the apartments first, and then I'm gonna move into programming because they are two different things.
Okay, good.
So the apartments, so 75% of all of the apartments are affordable, which is huge. It's almost like the opposite of an MPDU unit in Montgomery County. 75% of the units are affordable. Out of all of the units, 25%, which means 17 units out of the 70, are designated for adults with disabilities. Doesn't mean that the other units are reserved for anybody. Because of fair housing laws, it's first come, first serve. So if you get on that line on March 16th and you make a call in and you are time-stamped, one of the first people to call in, whether you have a disability or you don't, you will still be able to, as long as you qualify to live there, and I'll explain that in a second because that's important, you will be one of the first to be able to rent an apartment at Main Street. In order to qualify, you cannot make over 60% of the adjusted median income, which is in the low $60,000 range in Montgomery County. Okay. So if you make over $60-some thousand, it might be 62 or 63, I haven't checked today. If you make over that, you can certainly apply to live there, but you would be in a market rate unit. Okay. So it's one of those 25% of market rate, and you would pay a little bit more. So hopefully that answers that question. Mm-hmm. And in terms of programming, the funding for the program comes from a couple different streams. One is the revenue from our membership fees. So everybody coming to enjoy and participate in programming for Main Street, whether you have a disability or you do not have a disability, and that's really important to know too. We are programming for everyone here. It's not just programming for people with disabilities. It's for everyone to be a part of Main Street. We also, I'm going to tangent for a second because I think it's important. Our mantra is bring your own independence. So if you come to a yoga class and you need someone to help you physically access these poses, you bring your caregiver, your support person. If you're like you or me and we're physically maybe not challenged or we don't have mobility issues, you come in and do a yoga class. If you need a support person to come in to help you, you bring that person with you. So we want everybody to come and be independent. And Main Street, that's our expectation. And that may be you and me that don't need any supports, but it may mean other people that bring supports too. We are programming for all ages, all stages of life, and all interests of our members, not just folks with disabilities. So our programming, back to the kind of the how we're going to support our programming. We are a nonprofit, right? We will be using the excess rent. So the excess rent that comes in, that there's a surplus for our nonprofit, will roll into our operational budget. So we have that piece, and you hear my dog. And so that will roll in to help support our operational budget. We will have membership revenues, and of course, like every other nonprofit, we're going to be out there doing a whole host of fundraising too. In addition to the 60% apartments, we also will have a handful of apartments that are 50% of the adjusted median income, which means that adults, that people cannot earn over $50,000 a year for those apartments. So it's a very reduced rent. And we have a handful of 30% apartments too. And Elijah, the reason why this is so important is because many adults with disabilities and many without aren't working. They don't make, they're not working full time. They're not making enough money to live independently. And we wanted there to be some equity in this so that not only will this building look like a real microcosm of what the world should look like, right? But that people who don't have jobs or don't have full-time jobs or aren't earning an income can still be a part of the Main Street community. That's a really critical part of our mission, is this affordability piece.